welcome to the T.A.C. show with Sandor Molnar. Now, Sandor, you are head of Audio Alchemy, or like second in command. Tell me your story about that.
Yes, sir. I actually consider myself to be, I guess, first in command. I'm the current president of Audio Alchemy currently. And I got into Audio Alchemy in my first semester here, spring 2024. And what got me interested was that in my high school experience, I got into music initially via the Contemporary Music Club at my high school. Shout out to Great Neck South High School and Great Neck Public Schools in general. I grew up on Long Island, so that was awesome. And basically what started me off in my interest was that I saw so many different people that had different genres in mind that got together and that created amazing experiences as a unison and as a whole. So people would go to practice rooms and they would have times where they would just have dedicated practice sessions in certain rooms as a band, as a group, and then they would get together during like music nights or during one of our big events was Battle of the Bands, and that was going on for what, like 10 or so years when I was in high school, so that would have been like 2021, so it was when I graduated. So yeah, that's what got me kind of started and interested in Audio Alchemy. I came in during my open house and I saw a table going on, or well, hold on, I heard at actually the Get Connected Fair was when I saw them formally and I heard about them at the open house.
Yeah.
So I believe it was Elizabeth. She was a violin player. She was running the club at the time, and I walked up to the table and it was just kind of a really nice interaction that we had. And I came to the first meeting. It was a relatively small club at the time, and I found that even though it was tightly knit, there were individuals that had definitive goals in what they wanted to do and develop within their musical passion.
Yeah. Now, what's the biggest thing you carried from your contemporary music club in high school to Audio Alchemy? Slowly building your way up over this past year, becoming like the leader of the club.
Mm-hmm. So, what I'd say I was very much motivated by was a space for people to come and practice their instrument in whatever way, shape, or form. Not just instrument, but also, vocally or within whatever kind of niche they found themselves in. And I thought that that was one of the coolest things that you can really do for a musician, is allow them the space and the time to allow themselves to practice whatever kind of development they had in mind. So when it came to like a certain song or like a certain, like maybe a scale, or maybe they were looking for a way to improvise over a certain chord, it was more or less the space to allow them to develop.
So you recognize that, from your high school, musical high school, good programs, that you really needed to give these up-and-coming musicians like sort of a space to cultivate and nurture your talent. You really recognize that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That is, that's a very good thing. I think it's like the beginning, like of the bedrock of the foundation. Now, what did your growth for Audio Alchemy look like in the first semester compared to now?
So, well, okay, that's an awesome question. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, when I got presidency of the club, sorry, I began by hosting meetings every Thursday in the student center, 12:15 to 1:15, and it was really just an open kind of design. I just allowed people to come in and talk to me about what they thought and perceived music to be to them, and also what their pathway looked like in music going forward. So one of my biggest events within the first semester was the open mic night, and really how that turned out was I allowed people to come in and get up on stage and just have people perform within like a karaoke kind of concept. We didn't really have any live audio equipment or lighting. or like decorations at the time. And I thought that even though it went well and it felt like people were like in unison, and some people were getting up on stage dancing, and some people were, you know, singing along to all the different kinds of songs, I felt that there could have been more of a way that more musicians that are looking for a performance base could go up and allow themselves to be on stage within a crowd kind of design. So I guess a good transition would be during my fall semester, I decided to do Spooky Serenade, which was one of the, I think, kind of like an upgrade from the karaoke night, I feel. And I partnered with Acton Minds, Nicole Brewster, Mariah King, Christina Whiston, and they all kind of helped me make this more fleshed out idea of what an open mic night should look like or could look like, in my opinion. We kind of laid into the potential of, like, you know, getting decorations, going for a theme. Man, I could keep going on this. I think I will. So I had a friend of mine named Gino Barnes, Andy Barnes' brother, who I'll actually rattle off on Annie Barnes, because Annie Barnes is such an amazing musician as well. She's such a talented drummer and just an amazing person overall. She came up to me at the, believe it was open house at the end of my spring semester here, 2024. And what she came up to me about was her incredible interest in music and how her life has been very much shaped by music and performance in general. So going back to Gino Barnes, her brother, I helped out her family with doing live events around the area, Pumpkin Fest in Cortland and a few others. So if you want me to keep talking on that note, I can.
I'm just thinking, you really seem, it seems like your primary focus to success is you really like focusing on the individual and cultivating on the individual's needs and successes to overall help benefit the music group. It seems like that is your primary way of success.
I'd say so. I'd also say that the connection with a group overall is also what I focus on, because music is something that creates a social group. It creates a network of individuals to actually allow them to communicate more so with people who have a similar interest and have like a pathway that they have in mind in a creative lens. So really what I was gonna get at with what happened with Spooky Serenade was that because I was able to help them out with doing relatively like roadie work at the time, I looked towards Gino Barnes and I asked him if he would be willing to come in and help me out with setting up like live audio and lighting equipment at the event. And he came in with EVs, he came in with a highway cable, as we like to call it, direct inputs, just a real whole slew of equipment so that we could make the event run more smoothly. And so I invited down creatives of all kinds because ultimately my club isn't really just about music, it's also about people getting their whatever kind of sonic kind of energy out into the world. So there were some people who came in and did poems or written kind of designs, and I thought that was really amazing because I feel like just allowing people to come into a space where they can express themselves in general is really what I aim for with the club. So
yeah, so what type of instruments do you like play? Do you sing, do you write, do you like, you know, do the guitar? Like what do you like doing as a musician?
All right, I'm primarily a guitarist. I produce on keyboard, drums. I've practiced vocals for a little while, and that's been a lot of fun. But I consider myself to be primarily a guitarist. When I I can go into my origins.
Sure, yeah, feel free, yeah.
So, as a kid, like growing up, I actually went to an Iron Maiden concert when I was, let's say, three years old, 3.5 years old. Yeah, my parents took me to an Iron Maiden concert because they found that whenever Iron Maiden would play in the car and they would look in the back seat, that I would be head bopping, and that was primarily because the triplets and the way that I guess power metal and the way that Iron Maiden was at the time, like it's very driving. There's something very encapsulating by it. So when I was in I believe 3rd grade, I picked up the trumpet, and I found that being within a band setting, along with individuals at the time that were way more experienced than I was, made me feel that the norms of band were almost imposing upon me. So I felt this kind of like stress of whether or not me practicing, me putting in that effort, would it be enough? So that was my kind of like roadblock that I faced within that time.
Now, how did you overcome it? Is you like, feeling that you were like not enough? Did like listening? Some people say, oh, I listen to music, I listen to my favorite artists, they help me get through it. But what was your strategy from going from a kid to struggling with confidence to doing what you're doing now, being a leader?
So that's an excellent question. I was gonna, I guess I was just gonna keep going on with that. I picked up the violin when I was in the 5th grade, so the trumpet kind of became a moot kind of concept to me, and I just put it down because I felt that it was not something that fit my kind of persona or my like individuality, or I didn't feel like I could also like spread what I had out into a room of individuals that have their own kind of talent or perspective, and that was just within my own kind of headspace at the time. So I picked up the violin, and a very similar thing happened to me within that time frame, because orchestral norms and how competitive it kind of seemed to have gotten within my own headspace. So I dropped violin as well, and then when I was 10, I picked up the acoustic guitar for the first time, and I started going to more, I'd say, formal one-on-ones with a teacher, and he brought up method books, and he had his own way of teaching that, to me, made me feel like I was within band or orchestra again. So I dropped guitar again.
Oh.
So ultimately, what ended up happening was that I was playing basketball for a really long time within my junior high school years, and over the summer, one of the summers, well actually this was before junior high school, so allow me to take a step back for a second. So this was 8th grade going into 9th grade, and I had come home over one summer, and I was sitting down at the TV after a long day of like high intensity training with my coach at the time, Ron Mapp. That man was a brilliant human being, but yeah, he taught me many good life lessons. I was looking for a place of solace and kind of just a place to get my mind off of what had happened during the day. So I was playing Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah.
And that's what I found comfort in. So most days when I would get back from basketball practice, I would be playing Guitar Hero 3 Through the Fire and the Flames, because I thought that, oh, okay, this is rhythmically challenging. This is something that I could wrap my mind around. And I was going into practice mode in Guitar Hero 3 so that I could get my percentage up, accuracy-wise. And when my father came home one day, he came into the living room and he sat down next to me after a long day of work from his perspective, and he said, hey, you know what would be really awesome? I said, what? If you could do what you're doing right now with a real guitar on the stage. I said, yeah, but with what guitar? And so he said, here you go. Here's my guitar from when I was 13. So he gave me his red Charvel and his PV amp. So that's kind of the way it all sort of began.
So you seem like you're a non-traditional learner, now you're doing like, very, one might see service like a non-traditional, music club as, a community college where, there's like much music diversity, people come in, people commute, there's no official like special music reserve space yet.
Mm-hmm.
I must say the level of connection with that is very fascinating.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. I think me being such a person that's looked for a non-traditional pathway within my own experience, I can understand how, or I can look to understand how another individual perceives their pathway on music or what they want to see in their development in music. So what actually helped me to, I guess, create a better structure in my way of looking at music was me taking more formal lessons with a teacher when I was, I think, roughly 17. I began taking lessons with him, Walter Campos, and he would come over to my house, and he would basically sit downstairs in my basement, and he would teach me music theory, and he would teach me how I could better myself within a music theory perspective, because what I was doing was I was taking my favorite songs. I was looking at tablature, and tablature is basically like you'll see the strings on screen, and you are told where to put your fingers based on what string and what number it shows on the tab. So I was using tablature to kind of figure out what my favorite songs were and how I could shape myself using that kind of a lens. So I began with just learning one singular scale, and it kind of evolved into me looking at different modes of what music was. So, yeah.
So what made you want to choose TCC? Coming all the way from Long Island, the New York City area. How did you come here?
So that's an awesome question, Tom. So from Long Island, I graduated high school, and I was looking at colleges from Long Island, and also I guess outside of Long Island as well for a time. And I was going to go to a private school, and that ended up not so much working out financially for my family. So what we ended up doing was we looked upstate, and at the time we were also doing like permaculture farming on our small plot of land in suburban Long Island. And so in order to pursue that more so, we ended up moving up here, and we ended up buying a good property just so that we could begin working on a semi-larger scale permaculture operation. So as I was up here, I took some time to, I guess, acclimate myself to a new kind of environment socially, and just how moving from Long Island and having access to New York City and all of these different places, I decided that I would take time before I would move on academically. And having moved up here, I believe it was 2 years in, I made the decision that looking for a community college or a college close to home would be the best kind of option for me to, I guess, dip my feet into my academic career going forward. So I looked at Binghamton, I looked at, Ithaca College for somewhere later down the line, and then I looked for a school that would, allow me to take that step where I needed to go and allow me to, I guess, get myself ready for that process. So I found Tompkins Community College, and
Now you're here.
Yeah.
Now, what's your biggest musical influence? I know you were talking about being raised by Iron Maiden, but are they still your biggest influence? Like, do you have any other huge influences that influences your guitar playing and various other musical-based skills?
Yeah, I have Jason Becker in my mind right now, and Jason Becker is a prolific guitarist of the mid-'80s, super virtuosic individual, and I might not do his story as much, I I guess, a service as it deserves, but or justice is the right word. But he began playing with a bunch of different bands, man. So he made a band with Marty Friedman of Megadeth called Cacophony, and they were like this dynamic duo of the 80s, and they were touring all around Japan in particular, and they were making some of the craziest instrumental like licks of the mid to late 80s, and he was getting so much traction in so many different places when he was out and about, until he was about to go and tour with Whitesnake one day, or he got the opportunity to go with Whitesnake out on tour because they needed a guitarist. So just as he began to go out and perform, or he was about to go on tour with them, he got diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's ALS. So it was, I can't even imagine being within his position, but his resilience and his process of him continuing to write music regardless of what was going on within his own body shows how, out of body and how connective music is within a whole, and how it inspired him so, because it was just something that was so within his soul. And I guess just going on about Jason Becker, some of his greatest works, I'd say, are off his Perspective album, and songs like Blue, let's see, Sarana is absolutely beautiful, and there are so many others. When he was when he was 16, he wrote Perpetual Burn, and just from what came out of that album, he showed that he had so much of just a voice on the instrument, and just within his like compositional abilities. So I'd suggest to whoever's out there listening, go and listen to Altitudes by Jason Becker or Perpetual Burn, because those are some of the songs that continue to inspire me and have led me out of incredibly dark places. So thank you, Jason Becker.
Yeah. Now, for people who don't know, what exactly is a lick?
What is a lick?
Yes.
Well, okay, so from a musical perspective, it's a combination of notes that you play on the instrument, and it just sounds good.
Yeah, so it's essentially, yes, musician slang term for that really good song. Like, you remember that when you hear like Eddie Van Halen doing that on, I think it was Beat It, yeah.
Yeah, sure. So like if you want to take Beat It, the solo from Beat It, like and then his next part,
yeah,
that would be a lick.
yeah,
Like that little cut of a segment that just it resonates because of the way that he composed it, the way that he just made it. And what's beautiful about Beat It was that he was invited into the studio by Michael Jackson himself, and he basically one-took the solo. So I find that his like spontaneity and the way he just got in there and played it, and then just said, "You don't have to pay me, I'm out of here." That shows his wonderful, I guess, just take on music. So yeah.
Now, have you been outside of any musical groups outside of the college, like, done any bands or anything like that, garage bands, like, local bands?
I have not yet, and I'd really like to become a part of like just local scenes. I've been looking to create a band with individuals that come by, and I'm just kind of allowing time to take its hold on however it ends up coming to fruition. I love all kinds of music. I'm not so much held down to one specific genre or specific place musically. I started looking into local scenes at like Ithaca and Cortland, just by going to like events that I told you about, like Pumpkin Fest. I also went to Angry Moms to go and see Raindrop Collector, who are awesome. Shout out to Malcolm, Connor, and yeah, those guys are amazing. They're an awesome three-piece. And I'm gonna actually go over this weekend to Angry Moms again with a friend of mine. I can't recall the band that we're going to see, but yeah, gonna take them to Angry Moms. We're gonna go on what day is it today?
I believe today's April 11th.
Yeah, the 12th, to go and see another band at Angry Moms. So that'll be awesome too.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting, looking for expanding to other musical opportunities. But what is the hardest, most challenging thing being a leader in Audio Alchemy? What's been the most difficult thing you've done this past year?
Well, that's a good question. I looked for a faculty advisor for a while, and that was something that was a barrier, but Chauncey is now my faculty advisor here at TC3.
Yeah.
And he's made it clear that he wants to come by and just help out within that kind of a realm. And I don't really want to say it's a challenge, but it's something that is on my mind a lot whenever I'm running the club, is that how can I make the club more productive for the people that come to my club? Like, how could I make them find individuals that truly want to play the music that they want to, and allow them to have a space where they can go and practice, like whether it be like assigning them different rooms, or to allow them to go and bring their equipment in there, or their instruments, or whatever they need to give them the time and the space to iron out whatever tunes they want to play and whatever kind of direction they want. I consider that to be something that I'm looking forward to, I guess, answering or getting on board in the future.
Yeah.
Because right now, what the club really is that there's individuals that are interested in learning about music theory, or there are individuals that are open to open jams, and that's what currently is going down at Audio Alchemy.
So at a community college where everyone is focusing on themselves, a lot of people driving, really trying to keep that unity for that one club, especially after the pandemic, that can be very challenging at sometimes, especially, when you're dealing with musicians of multiple personalities. It could be sort of like saying, oh, you're having like a bunch of people in a kitchen.
Yeah, in a sense, it could be like having a bunch of different chefs in a kitchen. But
yes.
I'd say that when it comes to music, I feel like allowing yourself to realize what the environment has to offer, and seeing that there are actual pathways of development within where everybody is at, and seeing whether or not an individual that is in the club could have some kind of creative, I guess, energy that you would want to work with, or kind of help to harness, or if somebody has some kind of information that you don't have, I guess building off of each other's strengths.
Now, do you have any funny stories about Audio Alchemy? Any comedic moments?
Oh, let's see. Thinking about it. Okay, actually I do. So I recall last semester during the Outdoor Adventure Club meeting in the Student Center, we ended up having similar times where our clubs would meet, and they were doing a tightroping exercise, or not so much an exercise, but an event in the Student Center. And as people were walking on the tightrope, I began playing the SpongeBob. One of the songs from SpongeBob. It was doom dip doom dip doom dip doom dip.
Yeah.
And just got people to, I guess, laugh and take a moment to, I guess, acknowledge what was going on. It was funny. Got a couple of people to just smile and just have a good time. I'm sure there are a bunch of other moments that I could acknowledge, but I feel like that was one of the more linking or funny moments too. I mean, just like SGA and just clubs in general. So.
You got any favorite or hard guitar songs to do as a guitarist?
You said hard guitar songs?
Yeah, and also or like favorites, and also ones that might be very challenging. for you.
Okay. Yes, I do. I really like Deliver Us by Andy Timmons. I'd say that Andy Timmons is one of the best studio guitarists that had ever walked into, I guess, composition in general. That's a great song. I love a lot of Polyphia. Polyphia is really cool to, I guess, challenge myself in just terms of like what guitar is moving towards, like innovationally, because those guys within their comps and their innovations, they just have such an interesting sound with, you know, harmonics and the way that they put together chord progressions that are relatively simple, but because of the embellishments that they put in their music, they just create such a difficult kind of concept for a lot of guitarists or instrumentalists to grasp, but once you grasp it, it becomes doable.
Yeah. So have you ever like received any pushback for being a musician, like, you know, for pursuing this career in music, focusing heavily on guitar?
Mm-hmm. I've gotten pushback from not as many people as I expected, to be honest. I mean, I've been supported for a very long time by my parents, my friends, my peers. Even coming here at TC3, I think it's been something that has been looked at as like something that's good for the college and for people's morale in general. I did the 50th anniversary at TC3 here. I got to play Happy Birthday for the 50th, and I got to stick around and just play tunes afterwards for a while, and people were sticking around, asking me questions about what got me into playing guitar and how my path has just kind of come to be.
Yeah, so you also do SGA. How exactly did you get involved in that, become like president? What is the story behind that?
So I looked to SGA due to the fact that I became the club officer at Alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go into meetings to remain in good standing. So I decided, hey, I'm gonna go to the club, to SGA every single week, Wednesdays, 12:15, 1:15. And I thought that would be the best way that I could learn more about the college and learn more about clubs and events that are going on campus from Sandor student activities. So I continued to go to SGA every week, and I was very consistent in being there and learning about what other people were doing with their clubs as well. So what ended up happening was Kylie, who was the former SGA president, recommended that I should go out and get signatures and get myself to be the SGA president. And from the perspective that I had, being the Audio Alchemy Club Officer president, I thought that it would be an amazing thing to, I guess, move forward in being in a leadership position. So, yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I got voted in by SGA and the individuals that were there at the club meeting because I had gotten the signatures required to become SGA president. And this semester was, I'd say it was a really good semester to be around and host general meetings and create a more full team of VPs as well. So yeah, and I'm probably gonna run again for SGA president this semester as well.
What are your future plans? Like, what do you plan to do with your music and your talent? As you know, TC3 is only 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm planning on doing with my time going forward is I'm going to transfer to either Ithaca or Binghamton for music production at Binghamton or BA at Ithaca, BA in music specifically. So I also might end up going in for music performance at Ithaca. Really, those are my two pathways that I'm looking at, and I'm gonna do it to find new people, make new connections, and allow myself to like broaden my horizon within getting to know people on those campuses or meeting what the music scene is kind of about. Because I mean, whenever I was around Ithaca College, there was always live music happening in, whether it be at dorms or at private houses or places within Ithaca itself, like venues like the Kava Bar, which is now, Midnight. I know that they've changed their name, and also Angry Moms. I feel that Ithaca is probably where I'm weighing towards, just due to the fact that the music scene is so like eclectic and rather like just large and just brilliant at the same time. That's definitely what I'm planning on doing with my future. And in regards to music in general, I'm looking at writing more often. I have a song that I've been definitely working on building and just creating, I wouldn't say a more structured approach to writing, but because of the way that I've approached this one song, I feel like allowing myself time to write and also apply what feels right for a specific song is what I've been doing with writing in general. Because in the past, what I would do was whenever I would start a project, I would have to finish it right then and there because, oh, the ideas are flowing, the ideas are flowing, the ideas are flowing. So I would consistently sit down and produce that thing fully through without allowing myself time to, I guess, ruminate on what specific pieces I'm making. So now I feel like I'm giving myself time in order to, I guess, execute on what exactly feels right for what I'm making.
So you're really focusing on making the right, making your own material, making your own stuff, while also looking into your future and your long-term goals.
Yes, sir.
So do you have any final comments before we wrap up here?
What got you into podcasting?
Oh, well, during the pandemic, I watched a bunch of Joe Rogan Experience, and I thought, why can't I be like, Joe Rogan? I got the talents, I know how to talk to people. So when I was 15 years old, I did the T.A.C. show, which is my initials, Thomas Aloysius Campbell.
Yeah.
I did it on YouTube, I did it on Spotify. It used to be just Zoom because it was early 2021, and now it is... sometimes I do in-person ones, sometimes I do in Zoom, and it's become a really well-liked video series.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, Sandor, for being on here.